Hey, so I want to give you a powerful tool that I used a lot when I was managing social media for my practice. So that tool is called a content calendar. And if you aren't familiar with it, this is going to be a great video for you. And even if you are, I hope this video gives you some tips and tricks that you didn't know before. But today I'm going to be leaking a lesson from my course, Veterinary Social Media Foundations, which you can only access if you are a Vet Social Hub member. More on that later. But I really hope that this tutorial is super helpful for you. And if you have any questions, definitely feel free to drop them down in the comments.
Hey, hey. All right, so before we can dive into starting our SOP, we have a little bit of pre-work to do. So before we can even start looking at reviewing things and planning and creating social media posts, we need to create something called a content calendar and build some of those tools that go into that content calendar so that we can move forward with success and feel like we can actually know what we are posting about and how we need to go about posting. So, let me show you what an example of a content calendar is. So right now, this is just a blank template, and I will be giving you this template and linking it to this lesson and providing you with a detailed tutorial on how I use this tool. But basically what a content calendar is a calendar where you basically map out all of your posts, so all of your ideas, and typically, if you're using a digital version like I am, this is where you host all your captions on all your media for like your graphics and videos. And I have this content calendar basically to help guide me to all of my posting so that I reduce all of the overwhelm and really just get laser focused in on what I need to be posting. Now, a content calendar lives outside of a post scheduler. So if you're using Meta Business Suite, this would live outside of Meta Business Suite. And I do it this way because whenever I'd plan everything in Meta Business Suite, I don't know if this has happened to you, but I would write up all of my posts, upload all of my graphics and my videos, whatever, and then either, something would happen with Meta Business Suite, there'd be a glitch or something, but all of my posts would be eaten, and I would have posts mapped out for like 2 weeks, and they would just be gone. And I'd have to do all of that work all over again. And I don't know if that has ever happened to you, but it's quite frustrating, especially when you don't have much time in the clinic to be creating those posts. So to reduce the heartache and the frustration, and to be able to expand past out the month limit that Meta Business Suite has at the time of the recording of this lesson, I needed a space where I could plan indefinitely and have a backup, so to speak. So, in case whatever post scheduler I use, if something ever happens with it, I have a place where I can go and just copy and paste and pick up and move on, essentially, and not have to do all the work again. The other great thing about having a content calendar is that you can go back and look in previous months and say, oh, okay, last November, for example, we posted about this for Thanksgiving. This year, maybe I could do the same, or I need to mix it up, something like that. So it gives you a record of really everything. So, with that said, the great thing about a post or a calendar, content calendar, is that I can not only see what's coming up or what I've posted in the past, but this is where I can host all my post ideas that I want to create or things that I think of on the fly or see from other people. So this is where I bank all of my content. And really, for those days where I don't know what to post, I can come in here and be like, oh, that's right. This was a great idea. I can just drag and drop over here in Airtable anyway and put that on the calendar and have that ready to go. So it saves my brain in so many ways. So with that, as I mentioned, you can have your content calendar digital like I have here in Airtable, or you could put it on paper, or you can even use it in Google Sheets, create something in Excel. Whatever your workflow is great. But just be sure that you have a place outside of your post scheduler so that you can go back to your posts later on, or if you need it in the moment, you can make edits then. But if what you see here in Airtable is something that you are really enjoying, I will be creating a separate tutorial for Airtable and how you can use it. And I will attach that or add it to this module so that you can go back and look at it later. But yes, like I said, also that there will be a template, this exact template available for you to use as well. And I'll show you how to use this template because what I really love about Airtable here is that you can drag and drop things into this calendar. So when you're planning out things, and we will dive more into how to exactly use this. But if you need to switch things up, you can easily drag it around. You can write in here, post ideas. And so then you can come over here into the spreadsheet view and you can write notes for it. You can change the status of it. It's a really cool system. So definitely I encourage you to check out the tutorial and the template that I will give you to at least give Airtable a try because I think you will really, really enjoy it. But with that said, basically when we come into the calendar here, you'll notice that there's just nothing on the calendar right now. And so when we're coming to plan in here, we need some sort of structure to help reduce the overwhelm because I don't know about you, but I come in here and I look at this, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. And this happens to me often. Like, I'll come sit down and be like, okay, I don't even know where to start creating posts. Hence why I use a tool called content pillars, or what I call them in the course is content buckets. And we'll go back over here to the presentation. But if you haven't heard of content pillars before, basically content pillars give us a structure on what we need to be posting. So these are basically like categories of what we need to be posting. And the other great thing about content pillars is that they help us to establish the posting frequency of how many times we need to post each week and systematize it and make it really easy for us to figure out post ideas that we need throughout the month. So if you hear me say content pillars, content buckets, I'm talking about the same thing because I have a system called the bucket system that really utilizes these content pillars as naming them as content buckets. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But some content pillar ideas that I always recommend hospitals to use are the following 4 categories. And so we have educational posts, we have about us or some more personal posts, we have connection and conversational, and then we have promotional. Now, each of these categories have a role in the strategy. And so when we are looking at educational posts, are those that provide followers with quick and valuable tips or really applicable information about their pet's health and wellness and really establishes us as the practice as the authority and our expertise more so. So the goal of this pillar or this bucket is to really nurture our followers and give them some value. Really show them that we know what we're talking about and that we can help them with their pet's health and wellness. Then with the personal or about us, this is us really telling the person who's looking at our posts or checking us out as their new vet who we are as a team, what we stand for, and really just getting on a more personal level with these people because when a potential client is coming to us, they want to know who we are behind the screen, behind the name of the hospital, and really get to know who's going to be taking care of the pet. So this also nurtures the follower in a completely different way. And now when I say nurture, what I mean is that we are providing content that really builds a relationship with that person and invests into that relationship that we have with that person. Now, when I say relationship, that might sound a little weird, but we are indeed building relationships with people on social media. So just keep that in mind. But for the connection and conversational, this really builds up the community that we have around our page and our accounts and builds conversations with common interests for pets. So this establishes a connection between us and the follower or whoever's visiting our post. So the idea behind this bucket is to get new eyeballs on to our account. So these can be like the fun, engaging type of posts, like spell your pet's name using only emojis. It's one of my favorite examples because if people see and share that post, and comment on it. Their friends can see it, so they'll comment on it. So it's a great way to get our account introduced to new people. Now, finally, promotional. And promotional to me is a very important one that a lot of hospitals forget or they avoid. But we need to talk about the kind of services that we provide for our clients and patients, right? And I really encourage you to position it in a way that you provide a service that solves a problem that a pet owner may be experiencing with their pet or their pet may be experiencing. So it's really important to provide or to post these types of content because it tells people how we can do business, how they can do business with us. And that's really the main part of why we're doing social media, right? We're trying to get people to convert as to and become clients. All right, so let me show you an example of how this works on paper, or so to speak, on the screen. So we have our buckets. So we have our bucket 1, educational, number 2 is personal, number 3 is promotional, and number 4 is connection. Now, before I go much further, you don't have to stick to these buckets. If you want to add another bucket for inspirational or entertaining, that is totally fine. It just really depends on your brand and your clinic that you're working with. These are just the 4 core buckets that I really recommend you start with and really get comfortable with, because these will allow you to shine through with your culture regardless. So these aren't, like I said, you aren't married to these, but these are buckets that I really recommend that you start off with. Now, with that said, the way that the buckets really help us to plan our content out is I have a screenshot of our content calendar here. So let's say we have bucket 1. Okay, I'm going to bring that here. And we're going to assign a bucket to each day that we want to be posting. So let's say that we want to be posting 4 times a week. So I'm going to assign bucket 1 to Mondays, bucket 2 to Tuesdays, bucket 3 for Thursdays, and bucket 4 for Fridays. Now, with me having 4 buckets during the week, this allows me to post in the moment if need be. Like, there's always could be something that we need to be posting in the moment, right? Or on the day of, like, the phones aren't working, we need to post about that. It doesn't fit in any of these buckets. So it's important to have some flexibility in your calendar. And so, for example, if the phones do go down and you have something planned for Thursday already, but the phones are crashing and you need to post, you can definitely post twice a day. That is no problem. But if you want, you can just say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to move this to Saturday, for example, and I've got another post ready for the week, right? Or, you can say, okay, I'm going to boost this down to next Thursday, right? So that just gives you a little bit more flexibility. But we can copy and just say, okay, every Thursday, I'm going to be posting, what did I say bucket 3 was? Promotional. Okay, so every Thursdays, we're going to be promoting something. This could be about an event. This could be about a service that you have, anything that you want to be advertising, right? So now we can say, oh, okay, we've got basically a pre-planned framework for every day of the week that we want to be consistent on. Okay. So I hope you can see that now that we can come in here and say, okay, now I know that every Monday I need to be posting something educational, and every Tuesday is going to be personal, etc., etc. So now when we go into Airtable or whatever content calendar tool that you're going to use, now you can go in and say, oh, okay, now I just need to get post ideas that are focused on education or personal. So we'll talk about how this all comes into play here in the next lesson. But I hope that you can see now, like, okay, here is now a framework. We can filter things out and a little bit better and get less overwhelmed. So with that, you have some homework. Whoa. What I want you to do is figure out how or where you'll be keeping your content calendar. And once you have that decision made, then I want you to share it with the group. Now, this might seem like a simple step, but I can tell you from experience that this is going to be one of the simplest but more critical steps you can make in your planning, because I can't tell you how many times I was working with a tool that wasn't working for my workflow, and I wouldn't be posting anything because that was something that was hindering me, because I was just putting it off and putting it off. So what I encourage you to do is go watch the tutorial for the Airtable and how to use the template, and see if Airtable is going to be your tool you want to start out with, or if you want to start on paper, or if you want to create an Excel sheet based upon my template, whatever. But take some time and find something that you think will work for you. Give it a try, see how it worked for a couple months. And if it doesn't work out, if you're not seeing any fruit from your productivity or from your time in using that tool, then feel free to move on. But just find something that you can start off with while you are working through the lessons and through the modules, and see what comes from it. So I can't wait to see you and hear on what tool you've decided, but I hope you have a great day.
All right, so I hope you found that lesson to be incredibly helpful. And if you want to see a tutorial on how to get Air or how to use Airtable, then let me know down below and I'd be happy to do that for you. But in the meantime, if you want to learn more about Veterinary Social Media Foundations, my course, then I invite you to join Vet Social Hub. Vet Social Hub is my membership where I give you everything you need to be successful in managing social media for your practice. I provide you with Canva templates, caption templates, monthly content calendars to help you stay consistent. I also provide you with trainings like these on the regular so that you can stay up to speed on everything that's going on in the world of social media and really know and figure out what is going to be applicable to your practice. So if that sounds like something you want to be a part of, then head on down to the description where you can find all the details. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you also get direct access to me being a member of Vet Social Hub. So you can ask me questions about anything that you are concerned about with your social media, pick my brain, and there's also a community in there. So there's lots of support for you, just waiting for you inside of Vet Social Hub. So again, head to the description to get all of that information. But in the meantime, I will catch you in the next video, and I hope you have a blessed week. Bye!